Have we heard anything from the other person?
Not since the other day. But if they don't show up, they better not expect any credit for this.
Weird.
Are we allowed to do the project with just the three of us?
I'm not sure we have a choice. We don't have a ton of time. So, who wants to go first with presenting their research? Okay, I guess I'll go first. I looked at the Hotel Colorado, which opened in 1893. It was commissioned by someone named Walter Devereux, but what was really interesting is that it was modeled on the Villa de Medici in Italy.
Oh my god, can you get to the interesting parts?
That is interesting.
Tell us the paranormal stories, not some boring stuff about how it was built.
Fine.
Okay, so the hotel served as a naval hospital during World War II, treating soldiers for injuries and trauma. As you can imagine, with that amount of dramatic events, there were bound to be stories of hauntings throughout the hotel's history. Apparently, there have been a lot of reports of former patients and hospital staff that haunt the hotel. One person in particular is a nurse named Bobby. The story goes that Nurse Bobby had a number of admirers when she was stationed at the hospital. One of these admirers, hurt by Bobby's rejection and unable to accept her being with anyone else, took her life. The man was never found. Ever since, people in the hotel report the smell of a perfume that was popular during the 30s and 40s, lingering in certain areas. It's believed to be the scent of Nurse Bobby. There's one story I found from a man who was staying in the hotel. On a Sunday morning, he was by himself in the hotel restaurant enjoying brunch when he noticed the scent of gardenia, a perfume his late grandmother used to wear. He looked around the room and his eyes met with a woman who, moments earlier, wasn't there. He was overcome by a sense of sadness, which he thought was triggered by the memory of his grandmother, but now he believes was due to the presence of the woman he was seeing. The man briefly looked down to finish his meal, and when he looked back up, the woman had vanished. Filled with a sense of dread and fear by what he had witnessed, he inquired with some of the hotel staff if they knew who this mysterious guest was. The man was met with knowing expressions as they acknowledged what he saw and recounted their own stories of the sightings of Nurse Bobby.
Fascinating. And thorough.
Okay, my turn. So I researched the famous Stanley Hotel, and I found a ton of ghost stories. One story really stuck out to me. One late night, this woman checked into the hotel for a work trip. She was assigned room 418, which, according to legend, is well known for being haunted, but she didn't know that. The woman unpacked and settled into the room, but before she could rest, she heard faint laughter coming from the hallway. She opened the door, expecting to find children, but saw no one. Later that night, as she laid in bed, she felt this tugging sensation on her blanket. She reached to turn on the lights to see what it was, but when she did, nothing was there. She went back to sleep, hoping that the weird occurrences were over, but in the middle of the night, she woke up to the sound of footsteps running throughout the halls. She sat up in bed, wondering who had let their kids run around in the middle of the night, when all of a sudden, the closet door creaked open. Just then, a figure of a child stood in the doorway. Frozen in fear, the woman felt an icy hand on her arm. Terrified and outraged, the woman left her room and went straight to the front desk to complain. The woman left the hotel that night and never came back.
That was a good story, but did you manage to find anything factual about the history of the place that we can use for the project?
Kinda just focused on the story and lost track of time.
Right. Well, that was fun to listen to, but not massively helpful. What do you have?
The Oxford Hotel has several stories of hauntings over the years, each of which takes place in different rooms. Most notably, in 1933, the hotel opened the cruise room. Now, because the Prohibition era had just ended, the room had a bar built into it. This bar, over the years, had reports of a regular customer that would unnerve the staff and clientele. The story goes that in the 1930s, a postal worker in the area was attempting to deliver Christmas presents to children during a terrible snowstorm. Sadly for the children, the presents never showed up. There were rumors that the mailman sold all the gifts off. It wasn't until the following spring that the community found out what happened. After the snow had melted, they found the remains of the man, and alongside him, they found all the presents. Since this event, he has been reportedly spotted in the cruise room of the Oxford Hotel. In a recent sighting, the bartender at the hotel noticed an older man sitting alone at the bar, his clothing resembling an outdated postal uniform. The bartender had thought there was something off about this man, so he told his co-workers about the sighting, and to his surprise, they knew what he was talking about. Legend has it, if you sit alone on a snowy December night in the cruise room, you might just catch a glimpse of the postal worker in eternal agony over not being able to deliver the presents.
Again, nice story, but did you find anything we can use for the project?
Not really.
Guys, come on, we have to find something of historical significance to present.
But paranormal stories are so much more fun.
I get that, but we can't just make this presentation a collection of scary stories.
Okay, I think outside of the ghost stories, maybe the hotels just aren't that interesting to do a project on. Maybe we can find some things on more prominent landmarks in Colorado?
I don't know, there's like... you know the Denver airport? That the creepy statue in the front?
Lucifer.
Yeah. That'd be something we could explore?
I mean, as long as there's something significant and historical about it. Not just another scary story.
Everyone knows about Lucifer. It's the first thing anyone sees when they arrive in Denver, or the last thing they see when they leave.
I'm not saying no, it just has to be historical.
Have to be somewhere.
Okay, so next week we're all gonna have something on a significant landmark. Does that sound good?
I guess. What the hell? They haven't even shown up. Against the parks.
Isn't Cheeseman Park right near this place?
This is literally the parking lot for it.
Alright then. So, landmarks for next week?
For sure.